Ideas, where we discuss how little ideas are transformed into big dreams. Toolkit, and you will access a lot of resources. A lot of the information that we presented here today, there are a lot of activity sheets. So we encourage you to download some of that information. Also, there's a digital swag bag with Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Likkle Byte Ideas. It's been a while since we've had an episode. We certainly miss our outings and our discussions. Last month, we celebrated Women's History Month, and we were not able to have this broadcast last week. So we appreciate those of you who took the time out to join us today. Let me get my co-host in here, Megan Samuel Fields.
Well, hello, Dorit. How are you? Good to see you. It's been a while.
It's been a while. It's been a while, but we promise you that it's today's episode is going to be worth the wait.
Oh, it's exciting. I'm all excited.
Yep. I'm very, very happy that we have not one, but two guests.
And two powerhouses.
Yes, two powerful Caribbean legislators.
Absolutely.
So let us introduce the topic. Megan, you want to introduce it to this week's topic?
Sure. Yes. So it is economic empowerment as a tool for gender equality and protection. And that's a mouthful. That's a mouthful, but
and
it's
Pat,
so
very
important.
loaded topic right there.
Absolutely. Gender equality and protection, so important.
Yeah. So let us go right ahead and introduce our guests. Let's start with home first. We have the president of the Senate in Antigua and Barbuda, and we have Alincia Williams Grant.
Hello, ladies. Good to be with you today.
Welcome to Likkle Byte Ideas.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Glad you're here.
From Anguilla, just across the way, and of course, everyone knows that we have roots in Anguilla.
Oh, yeah.
We have the newly appointed, I think it's Speaker of the House of Assembly, Tara Carter.
Hi, ladies. Hi.
Hello
from Anguilla.
Oh, yes.
Welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Our second home.
Congratulations on your new appointment. And of course, we're also proud that we have another female leader in the Caribbean. It's something that has been long in coming, but we're very delighted. And I'm so proud to say I have Anguillan roots. And, women in politics is something that's needed. We need more women we need more female legislators for sure. So today we're going to get started. Megan, do you want to read the bios of these ladies and make the introductions?
Sure.
So let's start with Alincia.
Okay. So, and I'm learning about her too. I didn't know her other names. So, so we have Senator the Honorable Alincia Toshiba Harriet Williams Grant. That's a mouthful. Wow.
It is.
So she was first appointed as a senator to the upper house of parliament in Antigua and Barbuda in June of 2014. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Wow. It is. Yes. 7 years this year.
You're a veteran.
Yes.
Oh,
She
wow.
was reappointed and re-elected as president in March of 2018 and again in January of 2023. And get this, she is the youngest female to hold the position of president. There you go.
Right.
Senator Williams Grant has been an attorney at law for over 25 years. She started at 10. Having attained a Bachelor
Too
of
kind.
Laws degree. Having attained a Bachelor of Laws degree from the University of Wolverhampton in the United Kingdom. She holds a legal education certificate from the Hewarding Law School in Trinidad and Tobago, where Senator Williams Grant was awarded the M.H. Shaw Memorial Prize for Legal Drafting in her graduating year of 1999. Wow. She's also notary public. Since being called to the bar of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court in Antigua and Barbuda, Senator Williams Grant has gained extensive experience in banking, trade unionism, business, and the corporate field. She has worked as an in-house counsel for the former Elite Island Resorts, which included St. James's Club and Galley Bay, and as a legal officer at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank in St. Kitts. She's also a former legal counsel, corporate secretary to the boards of the ACB Group, now ACB Caribbean. Senator Williams Grant has served as the legal advisor to a number of statutory bodies in Antigua and Barbuda and identifies her proudest accomplishment to date as being the work done with the management and technical team at the National Parks Authority in having the Antigua Naval Dockyard and its related archaeological sites in English Harbor attain the UNESCO World Heritage Site inscription.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. She retains her boutique private law practice under the style of Williams Grant Inc. and is the managing attorney. In this position, Madam President has placed a strong emphasis on providing internship opportunities for several young women who have chosen the legal profession as their career. Prior to her parliamentary appointment, Senate President served as a director on the board of directors of the Antigua Commercial Bank. Among other positions, regionally and locally, she has held the posts of treasurer of the Antigua and Barbuda Bar Council, trustee and executive member of the Antigua Trades and Labor Union, legal advisor to the Antigua and Barbuda Labor Party, chairperson of the party's disciplinary tribunal, and a Caribbean representative on the board of directors of, is this Pearl?
Paul Americas.
Oh, Paul. Okay, got you.
Yeah,
Paul Americas.
Yeah.
An international organization dedicated to promote and advance best practices for parliamentarians. Okay, Paul. I thought it was, okay, got you. In January 2025, Senator was appointed Antigua and Barbuda's principal delegate to the Organization of American States, OAS, Inter-American Commission of Women. Whoa. Senator Williams Grant has held senior officer positions in local charities and non-governmental organizations designed to empower and serve women and youth. She is a founding director and member of Women Against Rape, War. She has served at varying levels of the Kiwanis Club of St. John's, Antigua, including club president and PRO, and is also a charter member of the Kiwanis Club of Antigua AR Fusion. Madam President has a keen interest in community development and nation building. As President of the Senate, she introduced at the Parliament of Antigua and Barbuda the President's 10, which is a mentoring program for secondary school girls, the Young Women in Leadership, Why Will. Oh, okay. Why Will program for young women, and the President's Luncheon, which targets professional women in public and private sector. These programs are in furtherance of the Senator's commitment to engage young people and women in the political discourse. They are designed to make the public more aware of the work of Parliament and, more importantly, to engage women and girls and encourage their participation and empowerment at the highest level of governance and politics. Senator Williams Grant also established the Parliament's Gender Caucus Committee, which is designed to promote a gender-sensitive approach to the legislative process and to encourage bipartisan networking amongst the women parliamentarians. Excellent. In 2024, Senate President introduced the Parliament's Reading Explosion Program, an interactive outreach initiative targeting primary school students with the aim to encourage more awareness of the importance of Parliament in the lives of citizens and to sensitize them to their social responsibility. As a member of the Moravian congregation, Senator Williams Grant recognizes the role that the ever-loving and present God plays in her daily life and her accomplishments. She calls the Judges Hill Moravian Church her home congregation and currently serves as its treasurer and chairperson of the building committee. Senator Williams Grant celebrates her greatest lifelong accomplishment and challenge as being the mother of her two daughters, Tara and Dahlia. Right. She's excited about the prospects of the next journey of life. Welcome, welcome. What a bio.
I told you we had
You're taking up
powerhouses.
too much time on that, I thought you would cut that out. But thank you.
Oh,
thank
wow.
you.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay.
Fantastic.
And so we also have with us the Speaker of the House of Assembly of Anguilla, and Tara Carter. So on March 11th, 2025, the Anguilla House of Assembly declared Ms. Tara Carter as Speaker. Ms. Carter is a distinguished legal professional and entrepreneur. She holds an LLB from the University of Manitoba, 2004, and a legal education certificate from the Sir Hugh Wooding Law School, 2006. Admitted to the Law Society of Manitoba in 2004, she has built a renowned legal practice spanning multiple jurisdictions, including Antigua, the British Virgin Islands, Dominica, St. Kitts and Nevis, and I'm sure Anguilla. In 2019, she founded her own firm at Ray Hill, further strengthening her legal expertise. Beyond her legal career, Madam Speaker is a passionate advocate for women's empowerment through her founding of Lead Her Network. Love it. She has also contributed significantly to real estate development. Her leadership experience extends to serving as Deputy Chairman of the Anguilla Financial Services Commission and Chairperson of the Health Authority Board of Anguilla and Legal Counsel for the Social Security Board. Wow. Welcome, Tara Carter.
Thank you, and a pleasure to meet President Grant.
Pleasure to be in your company as well, Madam Speaker.
And I must say, I love your daughter's name, one of them especially more.
I wonder why.
Not to be biased, but
wonderful.
Well, great minds think alike. They always say, and especially among women.
Yes.
But I want to jump right into our discussion. And there's a quote that I came across that I really like. I've heard different versions of it. And it says, raise a son and you will raise a man. Raise a girl and you will raise a nation.
All right. Love it.
And, it refers to a World Bank report that underlies the truth of this adage. Mm-hmm. And it's showing that increasing female labor, it shows an increasing female labor market where income contributed to 30% reduction in extreme poverty in Latin America and the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. And that report, we can drop it in the chat if people are interested, but it really highlights how women are accelerating and driving growth throughout the Caribbean. And the report also noted that the Caribbean is a world leader in terms of the share of women managers. I found this very interesting. Mm-hmm. Over 40% of all managers throughout the Caribbean are women in 8 out of 11 countries in the region. Okay. At the time of this report, Jamaica reported the highest proportion of women managers in the world at 59%. Okay. However, while there is progress, women do continue to face many challenges, due to their gender. And today we really want to focus a lot on some of the socioeconomic barriers that women face. So we celebrated International Women's Day last month, Women's History Month, and we want to take this opportunity to really reflect on what the Caribbean region has achieved on the path towards empowering its women and girls, but what still needs to be done, and what, as it relates to our urgent attention and action. So today we really want to talk about, female empowerment and how that can really transform the region, and of course, some of the policies and some of the programs that need to be implemented to make sure that this is a reality. So, ladies, Alincia, let's start with you. Let me give you a moment to give some opening remarks as it relates to your experience and your vision for female empowerment. I know you've initiated several programs, and I can see you're an advocate for female empowerment based on your bio. So just give us your quick thoughts on where we are.
Thank you. I think as a child and a young woman growing up, I always looked around to see where I was in that space that commanded the attention of the populace when it came to parliament and elections and leadership at that level. And I didn't find any. I was one of those children that my father had a vision for me, and no matter what direction I was trying to go in, he steered me back to that vision. So I was dragged to parliamentary meetings. I would go to parliament. I would go to inquiries. Yeah. But what was consistent was that all I was seeing were men. The clerks were men. The lawyers were men, except for Dame Bernice Lake, the only exception. But everybody was male. And so I said, I don't want this to be repeated for generations next. And I think I always had that embedded in me, that not that I saw myself, I would say, at all where I am today. And I give God the blessing and grace and thanks for allowing that grace for me to be where I am. Mm-hmm. But I knew that wherever I was going, I had to make the difference for those who were coming up, so they didn't feel lost like I felt. And I felt too that I didn't have a voice at the time. You know, growing up, we were told you, as a young person, you had to be seen and not heard. And sometimes you wouldn't even be seen. Yes, especially the girls.
For sure.
And we were locked into this box, and I said, I would never fit that box. I never fitted in the box. I was always the exception. And so I think as the natural progression of what I saw and resisted and didn't like caused me to evolve into this person that wanted to make the change. And when I came to the office of president, I sat there and said, what am I going to do with this? What do I do? Just sit here and just listen to this debate? I can't contribute to the debate. I must make a change. I must make some impact. What is going to be my legacy? And foremost concern, as I said, for me was that I didn't see me in the leadership positions that I think we ought to be in. And so we strategized with the team at Parliament and said, how are we going to do this? And I said, the foremost thing is to change that apathy that we saw from the young people. How do we change their minds to say, yes, they can be a part of the process. Yes, they can aspire to leadership positions. Yes, they can be the political leaders. Yes, they can be elected as well. And so we implemented some of the programs like the President's 10, which targets the young girls in secondary schools, third and fourth formers, and we evolved from there. I think that is what drove me and has driven me, and is where my passion lies, is to make sure that people can see themselves in the spaces at the top. And when I say people in particular, young and women. And you talked about the statistics coming out from Jamaica and also from the World Bank insofar as women occupying leadership space. We see it all the time at school. I can remember secondary school, most of the persons in my class were women, were girls. And even at the graduation ceremonies that are happening just recently at the University of West Indies, you could count the men on your hands, and the majority, hundreds, are women. But we're still not seeing that translated in the way we would want to see it at the leadership level. And so
Correct.
There is that gap. We talked about why we still not seeing it. There are gaps. There are a lot of negatives associated with political leadership, and women in particular do not want to be the brunt of the criticisms and the negativity and body shaming and all that is typical that goes along with it. And we've had the experiences in our jurisdiction, especially targeting our women politicians. So the thrust and effort that we have embarked on, and particularly what I see myself working how I see myself, or how I've been working as an advocate, is to make sure that women see themselves in those positions and say, in spite of what the drawbacks may be, in spite of the negatives, in spite of the body shaming, in spite of all of that, I deserve to be there, and I'm going to press forward. And just before you allow Madam Speaker to respond as well, I want to remind us that the women are the backbones of the political organizations.
Absolutely.
The women are the ones that go out and campaign. You know too well how active we are. We're passionate. We support the men. We want to see them there. They're going to get elected. And we will fight tooth and nail to make sure we get them there. We need to change that culture. That's another part of it. That we need to support ourselves to make sure that we take up the spaces that we ought to be taking up space in, the places. And if we have to carry the chair, we need 5 and 6 sisters to help us carry the chair. If we have to take a side table, we need the 7 sisters to hold the table with us as well, and make sure we occupy that space.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Love it.
Tara, I'm going to, so that we can frame the conversation. Here's my question for you. Of course, I want to hear about your journey as well.
Sure.
But I also want to hear about, your views on women in leadership, the role of women in government, business, community, in driving economic change.
Okay, thank you for that. And I'm very pleased to share this space with all of you, and hearing President Grant's background as well. It's so universal. I'll just take it back really far. When I was about 10 years old, Dame Eugenia Charles came to Anguilla. And back then, part of our protocols would have a young student attend the landing strip, present flowers. They would do it whenever dignitaries would come. I had been selected to present Dame. I had no idea, of course. I didn't grow up in a political household. But what I always remember, how I felt in the moment to greet someone who I thought was strong in stature, strong in her disposition. Her voice was very commanding. And I felt really overwhelmed to be in the presence of this lady that all the men around were celebrating and welcoming, because we hadn't seen that before. Now, I'll fast track to where we are in Anguilla today. As you rightly said, on May 11th, I was appointed, but at that same time, Anguilla elected its first female premier, which was fortuitous because it was done during International Women's Month.
Oh, wow.
And yes, it was a really great moment, and I hope to say for all parties across, for women in general. We had our post-election seminar that was led by the UK 2 weeks ago, and they brought in Senator Shireen Golden Campbell from Jamaica, and they brought in a retired MP from Bermuda. I forget his name, it escapes me at the time, but really, really lovely gentleman. He came to the second day of the seminar and he was just smiling. He had such a good personality. Oh, his name's going to come back. And he asked me if he could get a photo when the governor came, when the premier came. And I said, well, I'm just a speaker. I don't know. I don't need to be in a photo. He said he had went back to his speaker for the Bermudan Parliament that night, and he was so in awe because he said he couldn't think of another Commonwealth country where at the concurrent time, the speaker, the governor, and the premier were all women.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize
and he wanted a photo to take back to Bermuda to celebrate. So for me, I felt, I was called to the bar in 2006, so I'm a few years behind, but I felt that even in my 19 years back in the region, that I felt that, okay, we have made progress, because here was a retired MP of 25 years. He had sat the longest in Parliament, and he was so excited to capture that moment. Where does that put me? So I didn't have political aspirations, believe it or not, and I still don't. I am very happy to be appointed, but it wasn't something that I had seen in the cards. I actually was phasing out my active practice and going more into just a very small area of real estate development and focusing more on my nonprofit, which I started last year with a group of lovely women called Lead Her. And the reason I was prompted to start that was that I feel that there are spaces for women that don't don't necessarily have to be politics, mainstream politics. And I feel strongly that there are spaces where women can make impact without being politicians. So my goal was to find those talents in different women and pull them out. And it has to start with financial independence. It has to start with basic financial understanding. It has to start with learning construction and learning how to negotiate business. And that fire was born in me because when I came back at the age of 27, I sat on one of the local banks board as their legal counsel. I was appointed. I mean, my senior was really the lawyer, but he was playing tennis and he would send me to the meetings. And at 27, the only female in the room, it was all men, until we had a female director some years after. But they were all senior men, and they would always walk in the room and say, "Good afternoon, gentlemen."
Oh.
And yeah. I was able to see it go full circle where now I say, "Oh, wow, you now know it's not gentlemen anymore." But it wasn't something that I would have as an indictment on them because it was the era they were from. It was what they were used to. And I've seen those same men come full circle where they are now embracing and respecting and encouraging women alongside in that journey, and in fact, putting them forward. So we have progressed. And I know, like, you asked me one question and I could blab all afternoon. So, so it wasn't from the political perspective for me. I feel that there are things to be achieved outside of politics on a macro level with women. And that's the space that I would like to continue to grow in and occupy.
And I wholeheartedly agree with you. We should be all over. It's one of the things, however, that I think we're missing, and the women are trying to occupy these other spaces, but the policies, decision, and let me tell you as well, when we at our President's 10 program, we have young people who aspire to be in all different facets of society. First year we had one that wanted to be an astrophysicist, didn't know what that was.
Oh, wow.
But what we did, we told her, even in that, you have a role to play in making policy, and you can make policy. You can occupy this space at the highest level. I know you're not going the political direction.
Yes.
But it's important that we recognize that even in taking charge of our respective careers, that we could play a role in charting the policies relative to that profession. And so we need to occupy the spaces all over. And I'm very keen to hear more about your Lead Her network, because that financial independence also impacts whether women step forward to become candidates in elections, so that they can occupy this space at the cabinet to make these policy decisions that we want to see being made more gender sensitive. So financial stability, even, and I should say, I think is when we're talking earlier about the parameters of the discussion, that there is the gap. One of the principal gaps we have facing our women is the home care. And we're all mothers. I believe we're all mothers here.
Yes.
We know how much energy we put into caring for our family and our children at home. And that is not compensated. It's not monetized. And a lot of our women are in that position. That's all they do for the majority of their years in a relationship outside, that they are just doing that, but it is not translated to financial independence or security. In fact, sometimes it, as legal practitioners, we know it is sometimes a detriment to them, because the husband in his later years takes up himself and says, "I'm done with this relationship," and you're out in the cold. Just recently, I had the unfortunate situation to counsel a lady that she's now in her mid-50s. Her husband decided to end the relationship. And how does she get pension? It's something, she's not qualified for pension because she's just done the home care. And these are things, these are areas that I believe in the bringing together of the women and having that collective discuss and say we can influence policies, even though we're not taking the political route. We can influence policies in the in the industrial area, labor relations. How do we look at crafting our legislation and policies to protect those persons who might fall into that category at a later time? So I wholeheartedly agree with you. We need to take up space in every way, but I'm going to be very bold and be like my colleague, a former speaker for Montserrat, and say I am trying to get people, women in particular, elected.
It's the only way. It's
I
the
want
only
them
way.
elected. I want more women elected. I want the manifestation of what is happening in the managerial positions that they're occupying. I want to see those women who are coming out as graduates. I want to see them occupy space, 50-50, 75-40, 30, whatever it is, however the maths play out. I want to see them in the elected houses. Madam Speaker, I want you to be in charge of them. I want to see them.
So question for you,
Sure.
Madam President, what do you think is keeping back these women, the ones who have made it to the top in business, in their area of expertise? What do you think is preventing them from following your route and getting into policy?
Well, I'm like Madam Speaker. I'm appointed, so I'm not elected,
not
and
you.
I haven't gone there.
True.
But I
in
have
the elected space.
In the elective space, one of the things I spoke about earlier was the tainting of politics. Politics is nasty. Politics is bad. No good woman, no nurturing person wants to be associated with that. Plus, the stigma of they're going to dig up everything about you and speak about it. They're going to talk about you here. I remember when I came to the office first, I would get messages about what a member of the house is wearing. And I remember when we appointed a member of the LGBTQI community to serve in the Senate, I would get comments and suggestions and comment. All sorts of emails and WhatsApp messages about why is she wearing that? Doesn't she understand this? So not everybody wants to face that. That is a big challenge. And it permeates our culture. And we're not yet as matured to say, I will face all of this and go forward. I'm not brave enough. We also have major issue of finance.
Right.
And leaving your home, taking care of your children, Madam Speaker, being the successful attorney she has been, why would she want to give up her practice and go and make that minimal money? And there's no guarantee that she's going to get elected. You also, from the other side of financial is the financial backing. When you go into the party, there's no quota or there's no guideline to say each member who is going forward, each candidate has to get the equal amount, or this person is in a particularly safe seat. One of the things that we've heard in the discussion over time is that most of the women, sometimes they put the women in the hard seats and not the seats that are easily won or garrison seats. So the woman has to work twice as hard to get where they want to be elected. There's also the confidence level. Do I see myself as a leader? And are we as women willing to accept us as leaders? So it's multifaceted, but those are the main areas that we have seen come up time and time again. I know that there's been discussion about setting quotas in some jurisdictions. I think Guyana has quota in terms of how many persons have to come forward as women, and your party has to actually put forward a certain number of women in some cases.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if we're there yet, at least for Antigua. I can't speak for
That'd be
Anguilla,
interesting.
but those are some of the areas that the general discussion have taken on board. But the fundamental thing is that we want quality, not just numbers. We want,
Mhm,
it's like
mhm.
for any elected official, we want quality officials, quality representation. And so we want quality people, but the quality people, they're making money. They don't want to be ridiculed. Some of them private, they don't want nobody telling them business that they didn't even know existed. And so it's that stigma, that culture. We need to change the mindset of our people. Um, and there is also the misogynistic patriarchal system that still some of us buy into as women, that says women have their place and politics and the House of Parliament is not one of those.
Mhm.
So we have a lot of work to do there.
A lot.
One
I
thing that crossed my mind as a mother, you know, you have to really think about, we talked about this earlier, your time. How much time do I really want to take away from my family? We know being a politician is, we grew up in a politician's house. It's a 24/7 job.
Yes.
And
Well, I
so,
think that's important. Your family, when you have a young family. And
exactly.
that's,
In fact,
yeah.
any age of family, you know, you're always, as a woman, you're more cognizant of the value of your time.
Yeah.
But you do it when you're building your business. When you're building your business, you invest your time to the detriment sometimes
Yeah,
of your family. But it's
yeah,
because
it's a
you
little
have that.
The
different.
reward.
What?
There's a
It's a
reward.
little different. When you're building your business, you kind of see yourself as your own boss.
Yeah.
When you're in politics, you're the people's, you know, the people
Yeah.
become
Right.
your
And
boss.
and that is the crucial part of it. You don't
Yes,
get into politics just because. You
Yeah.
must have the passion for service. You must want to see this realize and change and say, I have to if this is not the time, I'm focused on my children and my family. That's
absolutely.
fine.
Right. I was going to pick up
Fine.
on that point about timing. So one of the questions that you did raise, which was the point about quality and why aren't women getting into it, I raised the book. I thought I was looking at this book. So I just want to segue into this book because there are some gems in it. I was gifted this book by Dorady and Megan. It was written by their mom. And she was 90 years when she wrote it.
And Alincia, we have your book for you too. Don't worry.
Oh,
Absolutely.
thank you.
We
I
have
look forward to it.
I picked my gift up today and I just put it in my hands. And as soon as I opened it, I couldn't believe it. It starts off by saying that she has spent, when she wrote this, 788,400 hours on this planet. And this, but even at her age, one of her chapters is inspire a community by believing in yourself. And I mean, I can't wait to read it. I haven't read it as yet, but just to look at the headings. And I think the point about what's preventing women, I think women should also look at the timing in their lives and what is important to them at different times. So while we do sacrifice for our businesses, you may want to spend that time investing in yourself first, so that when you offer yourself, if you're called, because I'm from the school that I think you have to be called. I don't think you should just wave your hand because somebody says you're good to be a politician and then go to politics. I think it is a commitment of service, and that's where we go wrong when some people just say, I want to do it because I'm popular. And I think that if you focus women back on preparing themselves and investing in themselves and from the basics, financial independence. So you aren't able to offer yourself in politics if you have not at your own basic level secured yourself financially. So that you're not there for the money, you're not there for the power, you're not there for bribes, you're secure, you're there because you know, as your mom said, you've inspired your community to believe in you because you've believed in yourself first. And I think that comes with a level of confidence that you have to start from being financially secure. You have to understand basics, budgeting. I have to see that you have achieved some personal level of success in what it is you set out to do. So if you've set out to build your art career or you've set out to build your musical career, did you commit with it with sufficient passion that I know you will do the same thing when you offer yourselves? So I ran into my old economics professor recently, and he said he was congratulating me. And I've just been apologetic to people saying, I'm so sorry. I don't know how this happened. I know it sounds nothing like what I said last year. I truly was being genuine. And he said, why would you not expect something like this to happen? Because I was not on the trajectory. And he said something really profound. He said, when you prepare yourself and invest in yourself, anything can present itself. So if you
Absolutely.
did all the work and you did all this work not even thinking this was going to come. When the call comes to offer in whatever area it is, to invest in a business or develop some enterprise, if you have put in the work in yourself, then you can go forward confident. And I think where we mistake is that we jump into things without giving due consideration to our own personal growth, our mental security. So those things about stereotypes, stigma, and personal exploitation, by the time you offer yourselves, you should be so secure that those things shouldn't shake your cause and your calling and your purpose. So it comes with a certain level of maturity, and that could be in your 20s, that could be in your 30s. For everybody, it's different.
It's different.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes. There's no one that should measure when is the right time for you. You have to know when have I put in the work? Do I feel financially secure before I can offer myself? Because you have to be genuine about it. You can't manage a national asset if you don't know how to manage your own personal affairs.
Absolutely.
Right?
I agree.
That's profound.
I agree.
For sure.
I think that's part of the problem too, Madam President. There might be persons who, as the Speaker of the House was saying, they're popular, and they think because I'm popular, let me step into the ring without recognizing that there are certain qualities that you need to have. And I wonder if, because we have seen a few women who have raised their hands and it doesn't really they don't get too far. And I wonder if that's part of it. They might be entering for the wrong reasons.
Well, they're not prepared.
Not prepared.
Not prepared. Completing their mission.
And your purpose in life is important. You have to be in tune with that as well. And I agree to some extent. But for the experience that we've had in Antigua, last election was the first, I think we've had the most women over, how many was it? 9, 10? I can't remember the numbers.
There were that many? Oh my goodness.
Because on the orange team, Messiah.
We're talking about the election.
This last election, last general election, not the by-election, the general election.
Okay.
We've had two by-elections since the last general election. But
You're right. I forgot
the first time we've had so many women come forward.
Yeah.
Before that, the walnut and young women. So it's shifting. It's shifting. Yes. I can't put my finger and say this is one reason or the other. I could say from political perspective, especially from singing from my party's hymn sheet, they're on the wrong ticket. It was just not for them. But in that we celebrate the accomplishment that so many came forward.
Yes.
And it's a start. So with the younger ones seeing, hey, this is a possibility. We have one elected. We've had Dr. Quinn being the first. We've had John Messiah, Minister Marshall, former Minister Marshall. So the 1-1 full in the basket, it's good.
We're getting there.
But I think it's more than just not being prepared. It's more than just that, and not having the maturity in terms of your financial position to go forward. Yeah. There's so many different aspects that impact your ability to win. But for me, it's not just about the ability to win. It's about consciously making that decision to step forward in service and saying, I am here, I am willing. If you see that I am worthy, elect me. Yeah? If you don't see that I'm worthy, and here's the problem, a lot of us go forward and we feel that we're winnable. We don't get it, and all of a sudden the world come crashing down. Nobody like me. They bad mind, and who didn't undermine me and whatever. I'm one of those. I've gotten a couple of licks while trying to go forward to be a candidate. I'm still here standing. I just don't take it as personal as others. For me, it's a commitment to my country, and I see. If it is that I get removed, and I tell people every day, I've sat in that chair as the president, and I've seen people while speaking get their revocation letter. So I could be talking now, and 2 seconds from now, I'm not the president of the Senate. And I don't fool myself in that regard. I'm saying that if the door opens, as Madam Speaker has said, that the opportunity presents itself for you to occupy the space at that level, whether it be in politics or any other leadership position, you walk into it with purpose. You do what you can to the best of your ability, and you serve, you commit yourself. And be impactful, because occupying the space without being transformationally impactful doesn't really help anyone. I don't know even know if it helps yourself. You put it on your CV, yeah, I've held this post. But what have you done in that position, you know? So readying yourself, as Madam Speaker said, is very, very important.
Yeah.
Being in that position of confidence that I can take up this space. Yeah, I can do it. And even if I don't have the ability, what opportunities are there for me to build my capacity, to build my ability to discharge this function? You know, I don't see myself in this role as president for too long. I want to be elected. So what am I going to do to get there? How do I get from there to the lower house? You know, or I'm sitting as chair of a bank, or as a committee, a statutory body. I like this. I love the taste of it, but I want to do more. How do I do it? What do I do? Why do I need to learn financial management? How does that help me in what I'm going to discharge or what I strive to? How do you become the prime minister of a country and don't know how to balance a budget?
Yeah, that's
not going
to work.
Exactly. So you build capacity. You know, I just think that once the opportunity presents itself, you walk through the door. And what efforts that I believe as well, Madam Speaker is trying to do in her Lead Her network.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that.
Right, is to ensure
that
we have people who are capable.
Yes.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, so if I may, on Lead Her's perspective, what I wanted to achieve was that I found that there was a big gap in ownership of property in Anguilla by women. Because of the work that I did, I noticed that a lot of men were acquiring land and properties and building a house. And we came together to bring a network of women of different expertise and strengths. And it was surprising. Our first event, I wanted it to be 25 people, and it was 50. Our second event, we did a mental health retreat with Julie Mango, the comedian. We had
Oh, that was you. Okay.
Yes, I know she went to Angola. Okay.
Yes, I saw that.
Yes.
Nice.
And she wants to come back, but it was something that we stepped out of the box to do. And we ended up with 300 people, which was novel because we never talk about mental health. We never talk about how do women juggle all of these roles, expectations, stereotypes, and how do we deal with that. And during that month, last year, it was in March as well, May, we did it in May, we were able to share on the radio things about the programs that are offered, parenting courses, things that people didn't know existed to support women and men, because there are men that are taking on those roles as well. So we try to offer support. And we continue to grow. And where the need that we found was that women wanted to understand, how do we buy property? How do we read a land title register? How do we negotiate a loan? And it was things that we take for granted who have done that. And we don't realize that we don't transfer that knowledge to the younger ones that may not feel as confident asking, well, how do I even ask for a loan? So we were able to network younger women with other women in those backgrounds, banking, real estate, and just give them the tools. A lot were able to buy property last year. They're continuous. A lot were able to start their own homes and be supported in the network where they would ask, well, who contractor should I use? We were kind of building a Angie's List where you can say, well, should I use this filer? Should I use this?
That's wonderful.
That's good.
Because the downfall is that women get shafted, really, if I'm going to be colloquial, in construction in particular. And for those of us that have done that, I've done construction for 10 years. And when you go through a construction project and you see what can go wrong, it could be the difference between $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 of errors that you may not have picked up on. So we try to support young women who want to be able to own something. And it doesn't have to be anything great. It doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to be something that you could afford, teaching them how to manage their own debt, not being afraid of debt, because unless
not being afraid of that.
there's good debt and teaching them how to access good debt.
Absolutely.
So then we went right into an annual Christmas pajama party where it was more casual, relaxed, but we would have mentors that would speak on banking, getting loans, and they have been able to tap into, not feeling uncomfortable walking into a bank saying, "Can I see Mrs. So-and-so?" And Mrs. So-and-so actually knows that person. So it brought them out of the comfort zone, because I think it's important to own something. Anguilla and you have Anguillan heritage. We were traditionally an island where people owned their property and they were able to acquire their property without debt. They had the jollification style building and they didn't have to go to the bank for loans. And somehow a lot of women have been misguided in what they really want. So they end up building these really big houses that they can't complete, hoping that the husband and the children will come, and then they don't come, and you're stuck with a big house, a big loan, big empty echoes. And it could have been avoided if you had gotten advice. So simple things. We'll say, if you're going to buy a property and build a house, we need you to buy a measuring tape. We need you to measure homes. We need you to understand distances, because as much as I've done construction, I can't visualize distances. I have to take the measuring tape out and say, okay, I like the size of this room, and just getting them to be more involved in what was known or deemed as a male world. The women are now taking the lead and can actually stand with their contract and be taken seriously.
That's amazing.
And we're breaking the stereotypes, because I've taken older males on tours of a space that they may be interested in renting, and I've had one man in particular, non-Anguillan, that kept asking me if I owned the building, and I kept saying, yes, I own the building, and this is the rent, and this is what I want. And he tried to play some games, and how about this? And I said, sir, I'm not giving away this space. So either you want it or you don't want it. And I think he still left from there thinking that I was lying, that I own the building. So, but we have those stigmas still to overcome, where you feel that you have to work twice as hard, as that old quotation says, to get half as far. So you have substandard males occupying roles that I know that touches on your policy questions, but it's a constant work in progress. But I don't feel that it's so much as a struggle in Anguilla in particular anymore as when I first started 19 years ago. So I started when I was 27. I'm going to be 45 this year, and I have felt the growth, and I'm very happy about where we're progressing in terms of shifting the mindset. Where I'm saddened to see is that a lot of the kickback is actually sometimes from our own women.
Wow.
So I know I'm hitting a
very
really
good point.
I'm hitting a score. I'm going to match.
But you know what, ladies? Let's take a break.
Okay.
Because I want to make sure that our viewers have an opportunity to ask questions.
Okay.
I can't believe that 6 o'clock already.
The time. Yes.
Is it?
So
wow.
You put two lawyers on the same show.
I'm two parliamentarians,
That's it. What were we thinking, Doreen? What were we thinking?
I don't know. But as is often the practice in Parliament, we really need to ask for more time.
But I think we need to have these two ladies back, because there's so many other things we need to speak about. We haven't touched gender-based violence.
Oh, wow.
And that's
a whole other show.
Yeah. So,
but let's see if we have any questions on the board.
So we actually have one. So if there are any persons who want to send any questions in, now is the time. So this is from Youth Affairs, Antigua and Barbuda. I'm so glad you're listening. And it's about the book. Where can we get that book? So I'll post it here, my mom's number. You can call Miriam Samuel.
Grandma Mary.
You know what? Grandma Mary.
Grandma Mary, very popular now. She's more popular than you all. I see her
Very-
all the time on the television and social media.
Grandma Mary went to Anguilla and killed it.
Oh, wow.
She was in Anguilla in August.
Yes, in August.
And for a tour, it was just amazing. She went to London, but she went to the UK. So she went to Wales and London, and
she got a tour. She did a legacy tour.
She did a tour. So
that's awesome. But if I may, while we get for the next question, get ready for the next question. Just touch on something that is a recurring theme in Madam Speaker's presentation. When she said that she was on the board because her senior was playing tennis, it's networking.
Yep.
And men do that very well. So the fact that coming off
Effortlessly.
that experience, Madam Speaker has now created her own networking in the style and fashion of women. We like to socialize, we like food, we like laughter. That's awesome. Because and I'm sure you've heard the saying that many deals are made on the golf course, not in the
Absolutely.
boardroom. And so it's important for us to celebrate each other and say, listen, we have this opportunity, or there's this opportunity coming up. Let's talk about it. Let's get together, eat have lunch, have tea, have coffee, bring the kids. We're talking about nurturing and making sure that we take care of the family. Bring the kids together, and while they're doing X, we can talk about business. It's something that we haven't mastered as women, because, and I would dare say, and I'm sure the experts would tell you, the patriarchal society that has formed around us has encouraged us to not support each other. And we've bought into that so very well. It's hard to break the cycle, but we need to. And I'm glad that I'm hearing about this, that Madam Speaker, you're muted, so
You're
we can't
muted.
hear.
Yeah, I was telling you, but
Glad
the
of that.
patriarchal society, they support themselves. And I always
Oh,
try to
yeah.
tell
Exactly.
women that they look out for each other while
Yeah.
we're out here competing with each other to, progress into the roles with them. Why aren't
Right.
we bringing everybody along?
Exactly. And why not celebrate each other? You
Exactly.
celebrate. Why not just say, "Hey, sister, you look good." I every time I come across a good-looking woman, especially they dress nice and they have on the nice lipstick, boy, I say, "Boy, you look good today." Just that
I
alone
do the
is an
same thing.
encouragement.
I
Yeah.
do the same thing.
But the
takes absolutely
networking
nothing
opportunity is
from us.
very, very important. Very
It is.
important for us to
It is.
understand and place value within ourselves individually and support that value. So when, as you said, Madam Speaker, when you go to the bank, you can say, "Hey, my sister, Megan is the CFO there. Can I?"
Yes. And you know
Megan, how
what?
are you?
We actually
I'm
had
trying to
two
move on.
women that made a really big commercial deal together to do business together
Oh,
on
that's
a project
fantastic.
that met wearing pajamas at a Christmas
Nice.
party.
Nice.
Yes,
That is
nice.
what is needed, because I mean the networking creates the support. It gives us the opportunity to see that others have done it. And
Yeah, the
it's somebody that's
validation.
personable that you can touch and say, "Hey, yeah, she's done it. I can do it. How
So
did you
can
do
you?
it? I'm
Yep.
having this
But I
challenge.
want to
What
make
do you
one
suggest?"
caveat. I want to make one caveat because I also always give credit to the male figures in my career and progression that were very supportive. And I think
Mhm.
during that progression, there were a lot of supportive male figures in my life as well. So I know we always hear about the negative part, and then a lot of the I had one male friend said, "What is it that you're doing? Is that a cult?" And I said, "No, it's not a cult. It's not. We don't sit around bashing men. There are male figures that have been very impactful on my career.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So there are men
Absolutely.
that don't subscribe to that. And I try to raise my son in that same fashion where you celebrate strong, successful women, you support them, you're not intimidated by them. And we have to become comfortable with the idea that your wife might make more money than you, and that's okay.
Mhm. Let
Absolutely.
me tell you, my biggest support has been my dad, right? And whenever I didn't even tell him about today, because the first thing he say, "A woman is you again," right? He thinks that we're leaving the men out of the conversation and we're
Wow.
not catering to them. I said, "Daddy, that's not it. You're already comfortable in your structure. We're
Yes.
wanting more women to come forward." And it's not to say that we don't have the support from you guys, like my
Yeah.
dad, but we need to see more of us present. And I have to push that agenda. And he's not impressed with it
That's
at
funny about
all.
your dad because my dad's logged on right now, somewhere sitting in the middle of Pennsylvania.
Oh wow.
He thought I was reading my phone, so he just sent a message and said, "Come off your phone." I was like, "No, I'm reading my phone."
And it's important. They
Yeah.
pull up your socks, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yes, yes.
the support from any side is important, especially as we go forward, as women leaders,
So it sounds
trying
like
to
we
make
have
the
a lot of work.
difference.
We have a lot of work to do, women.
Yeah.
And I
We have
just
a lot
can't
of work
wait to
to do.
read the books. Tara, you have such experience. I can't wait to read your book. And Alincia, you know, I hope,
What you
I hope a
saying?
book is in the
Books are
work
coming. Books
somewhere
are coming.
to share
But I
our
will have
ideas.
one book though that changed my life at age 27 because I buy them by 3 and 4 all the time. I give them away to young women. It's called The Automatic Millionaire, and it was one of my male mentors that gave it to me. It's by David Bach. And I was so excited because he actually Instagrammed back with me and wanted to hear my
Oh, wonderful.
because I told
Automatic
him
Millionaire?
The Automatic Millionaire,
Make a note of
Amazon
that.
by David Bach. And I recommend it for a lot of my 20-year-old mentees because I tell them you have the benefit of starting early. And it's not that you want to be a millionaire. It's nothing about that. It's about being
Right.
prudent, being consistent, and being able to build your savings, having a rainy day fund,
Strong
how not to
financial
buy
habits.
Starbucks every day because that adds up to maybe $2,000 a year that you could have
Right.
paid
So having the right mindset.
Yes, it's
yeah.
just your mindset about how you deal with money. Because one of the things I've been hammering is that Caribbean people, Black people, we don't like to talk about money with our children. We don't like to talk about money
No.
at all.
We
At
don't.
all.
And that could be an entire other show about valuing ourselves. And I don't know
And
about
women too. Women
how we
don't.
deal. I don't
speak
know,
about
President Grant, in my early years, I was afraid to say, oh, my hourly rate is, and I was too scared. And now I'm just like, okay, my hourly rate is this, take it or leave it. And if you don't want it, go somewhere else. But
Yep.
that's all about my mindset about readying yourself, confidence building. And just like Grandma Miriam said, believing in yourself, because when you value yourself, you know how to put yourself out there and say, this is what I'm worth. I need
Know
this
your
raise.
worth.
I need this raise.
worth.
I'm going to leave this partnership. This is not good for me. Being able to ask for what you want and demand it because you're worth that. And that's the start up
Absolutely.
here.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Oh my
This
goodness.
has been an amazing
Oh.
discussion.
We have to leave.
I don't know how we thought we could do
I'm
it
telling
in
you,
an
I'm
hour.
inviting you both back, okay?
Yes,
Oh, for
ma'am.
sure.
I
It
know
would
you
be a
both
pleasure.
have a busy schedule, so we'll find the time because there's so much to unpack. This is rich.
Thank
Yeah.
you,
This is
ladies.
And I
rich.
hope
was
you
a
guys
pleasure.
get to
Thank you.
meet.
Yeah.
I mean, with
Yes.
your
Oh, sure. We have
Oh,
a
of
couple of
course.
meetings coming up later this year. The CPA meetings in
I'll be there. I'm gonna buy my
so
ticket tonight, actually.
oh
All
wow.
right,
The
all
one
right.
in Bahamas in April. I won't be
I'm
at
going
that
to
one.
I'm gonna go to London, Bahamas, and Barbados. So
Okay.
I'll see you in London.
No, I don't think I'm
Awesome.
making that
Okay,
one.
so Barbados.
But maybe no, Barbados might be the speaker. Okay,
Oh.
sorry, we're dealing
Oh.
with
no, you
but
guys
we'll
got
see
right
each
ahead.
other just now.
It's
We'll see
about
each other
networking and making connections for sure.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes,
We
yes,
spoke
yes,
about
yes.
networking.
Yes, thank you,
Well, it was a
ladies.
pleasure. It was a pleasure.
It
I
was my
enjoyed
pleasure as
it.
well.
Lovely
Thank you.
meeting
Well,
you,
let me give
Speaker.
everybody an
Thank you so much,
opportunity.
Madam President.
I know we're out of time, but let me just give you guys like a 1 minute wrap up. We didn't get a chance to really talk about. I wanted to hear more about your vision for some of the policies
That's
that are
coming in
needed.
the next one.
Right.
Let's leave
If
it
we
for the
can
next
just
one.
if we can just summarize that now. And
For me, I would love to see some changes in our legislative structure supporting women, particularly where women have invested the majority of their time as adults in home care, monetizing that. I've heard the example. I just learned just last week at a seminar at a workshop meetings in Washington that Mexico has actually legislated it, and it's part of their constitution that women between the ages of 60 and 65, they get a pension, and all persons who are unemployed get a all persons are entitled to a pension from age 65. But that critical
wow.
area, and that possibly is why the World Bank is now able to say that there's been a positive reduction in poverty levels because they have been there's been strengthening of financial stability there. So it's something I would like to see change, and a lot more changes insofar as how we treat the women who are dedicated to building their families during their peak years and not having any financial stability as a result. So monetizing home care and paying more attention to the care economy for me would be priority. So I'd love to see a discussion on that sometime.
Yeah.
Thank you again for the opportunity.
The what economy did you say,
The care economy.
The care economy.
Care.
Okay.
Yeah.
Taking a note
I call it
of that.
care economy. Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, so my perspective, of course, would be in relation to assisting in business startups and legislation that's more friendly towards, and I say women, but I also say young people because I find that young people as well have to deal with overcoming the same challenges that women are as it relates to businesses, got financial lending practices, the breaking the stereotypes of how you lend and how you assess the loan application of a female as opposed to a male,
Yeah.
policies that deal with making that more balanced and fair.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I have to do some like research on what those would look like, but as a broad concept, I know women would want to have more financial and support for their business startups.
Yes.
Very
Whether
important.
through grants for women, whether it's through special lending rates for women, just to encourage women entrepreneurs. And I honestly do think it's improving in Anguilla, but of course, there's always room for us to grow in that direction. But I'm happy that I've been seeing progress.
That's good to hear.
Great. Well, with women at the helm, the world can only get better.
That's
So I
right.
want to thank all
Exactly.
you ladies for your time today, for your input, your
Yes.
ideas. It was really amazing. Not enough time as usual.
No, I
We
didn't.
definitely need to have you back. Thank you
Thanks.
so much for participating. And
Thank you.
to everyone listening, hopefully you really gained some insights on what women's needs really are and what the future can hold for women when they are given the support, not only from their community, but from the government, from business. Let's create a
other
better
women.
world where women are empowered.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thanks so
Take
much,
care,
all the
ladies.
best.
See you soon.
Bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.